What's up, friends? This is Manni, and Pixonic just changed your entire hangar and nerfed everything, except when your hangar consists only of Ochokochis, then it's fine, because that thing does not need to be nerfed, as we know. The Crisis, bonus damage from outgoing damage with the overpower ability, from 30 to 20%. Lynx, force field durability decreased by 20%, ability duration from 6 to 4 seconds, 33.3% less stealth time on your ability. Nice. Ability cooldown from 11 to 9 seconds, a little faster, overall drastic nerf for the Lynx. Nether, force field durability decreased by 40%. Ability recharge time from 8 to 10 seconds per charge. Movement speed from 58 to 53. Durability decreased by 15%. Built-in weapon distance decreased from 500 meter to 350 meter with the EMP, right? By the way, Lynx and Nether are being shown later in gameplay after I go through these update changes with you. I show you hands-on gameplay with them together with the Zhuangzi lasers and the harpoon weapons, because they also get drastically nerfed. Angler, bonus to movement speed, electric shift ability from 80 to 30%. That is a lot slower now when you use the ability, so general speed from 53 to 50, and durability increase though by 15%. Mars, bonus to movement speed from the remote assault ability from 25 to 15 only. Aegis, durability decreased by 20%. Durability decreased of the robot itself by 15%. Deployed turret duration decreased from 15 to 9 seconds. Seraph, bonus to movement speed from the Skyward ability, instead of double speed, only 1.5 times the speed. Force field durability decreased by 40%. Durability decreased by 20% altogether on the robot. You see what's going on here, right? All these robots that we need to have even the slightest of a chance against the new Ochokochi gets all nerfed. Except the Ravana that I showed you in yesterday's video. Thankfully, you can do that still. In this video, I show you how deadly the Ravana still is and how it cannot be overpowered by meta. So check it out here in the top right, yesterday's video. Yeah, Leech, ability cooldown reduced from 80 to 16 seconds. So a little faster. Durability increase on the Demeter. Side shield durability increase on the Revenant. It's just jokes. Those things are really not changing much. Inbuilt weapon damage of the Ouchun by 15%. That might be worth checking out. Phantom damage. Damage reduction from Blink ability reduced. Increased from 35 to 45%. So you get a little more defense points. Now we come to the weapons. Oh, and by the way, if you like these videos, updates here, and the videos in general, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet. I would appreciate it. Anyways, Reaper, reload time increased from 8 to 12 seconds. Again, that's a 50% reload increase. That is too much for an overnight change, if you ask me, even though we know the Reaper does deserve to be nerfed, but I personally would have looked at the way it destroys and ignores every defense system in the game, rather than the reload time or something. But yeah, Needle, Spike, and Stake, the shot interval. So instead of every 0.75 seconds firing, you now fire every 1.2 seconds. That is a 40% or so nerf. That's how much less damage you will do with this weapon now, because you fire simply almost twice as slow. Aegis durability increased by 20%, however, so more defense, less offense. Daeja, Joeja, and Hwangji or whatever, damage decreased by 30%. Can you believe they did this? Because they already did almost the same nerf, I think, a few months back when the weapon was really performing well. They nerfed it strongly like this, and now they're giving it another 30% if I'm not mistaken. So I will show you this later, like I said, and you'll see I can barely even touch the shields of shielded robots anymore. The weapon simply is useless, even though they increase the range. But what good does the range do me when I simply can't damage anything at it? Anyway, Spear damage bonus for consequent shots reduced from 100, 150, 250% to 100, 130, and 190%. So the weapon simply got a lot weaker now. Fainter reload interval from 2 to 3 seconds. That is a 50% slower recharge on your weapon's firepower. And I believe this is also a case of a weapon that got nerfed already. Back when the meta prime of that weapon was, that lasted really short if I remember correctly. It got a nerf, and now it gets another nerf if I'm not mistaken. That would make the weapon completely freaking worthless. Why not delete it from the game entirely? Because nobody would want to run a weapon that takes 3 seconds to do and then reload 3 seconds again. Anyways, Cudgel, particle damage 5% decreased, so less damage. Glory, that is big. The amount of particles per shot reduced from 30 to 20%. Remember, Glory was actually a useful weapon, and that can't be. Of course not. It's an older weapon. It can't be useful, so they nerfed it by 33.3% in terms of damage output. Boom. That's it. You don't get higher reloading compensation for it or anything. Nope, they just reduce your damage by 33.3%. Snare, Skadi Hell, ammo capacity increased from 40 to 48. Yeah, this weapon was also one of those that got nerfed twice over. Now it gets a slight buff and it's still a joke. Sting, ammo capacity increased from 5 to 6. So 20% more damage or something like this, but well, it didn't do damage before, so it still doesn't do it now. Volt damage particle increase, by 5%. Scourge shoots a little faster instead of 0.1 hit per second, so 10 hits per second, now 0.09 hits. It just deals a tiny bit more damage per second, but in turn also empties the clip almost a second faster. Shock train damage by 8% increase. Exodus reload interval reduced from 1.1 second to 1 second. So you reload your full clip instead of 25 seconds, now in 23 seconds. Rime Cryo Glacier damage increased by 5%. That is all not very useful here. It's just too marginal. Rook, cooldown and to activate shield replacement increased from 14 to 16 seconds. So it takes 2 seconds longer before you can get your shield replaced. And also the time for the teleport of the new shields is from 4 to 6 seconds. So there's a longer vulnerability time in between. And the shield durability got decreased by 15%. Where was this nerf when we all asked for it? Because the Rook was just completely ruining the game. It wasn't there. Now it's here because now we have the Newton Titan with all the stuff, right? Luchador Frog Splash ability cooldown increased from 20 to 25%. So you have insane 5 seconds additional wait time before you can jump again with your Luchador. The ultimate defense ability, however, gets a duration increase from 6 to 8 seconds. I think that makes sense. The 6 seconds was a bit too short. Serious bonus to movement speed. Serious damage to the Sirius movement speed from the deploying a turret increased from 10 to 12 kph. So you get a little faster on the Sirius Titan. Durability increased by 20%. That might be useful to look into. Has a lot more health now. Heimdall damage bonus in attack mode increased from 10 to 15%. That's useful too. Durability increased by 10% too, and physical shield durability increased by 15%. Heimdall is getting a buff that is actually really useful, worth looking into. Titan weapons. Fulgur and Tonan's damage decreased by 10 to 15%, right? 10% for Fulgur, 15 by Tonans. I've seen Rooks getting one-shotted by 1 or 2 Newtons before, so didn't obviously change too much, but especially since the Newton Titan has a damage multiplier, so he kind of combats the missing damage. And it rings at my door. Alright, back in the saddle. Oxy Argon, firing instead of every 0.09 seconds, at every 0.15 seconds, so a lot slower, maybe 40% slower damage output that you have. You will still have overall the same clip capacity, but it will take you 40% longer to empty that clip in a battle. Evora Veyron, the amount of particles shot per shot reduced from 3 to 2. You know what this means? Again, 33.3% less damage output on your weapons. The particle dispersion is also increased by 15%, so at range the weapon will miss more. The damage increased, however, by 10%. So they take 33% of your damage away here and add a 10% back. And that still is a ridiculous, insane nerf for these weapons. But they did, to be fair, overperform compared to pretty much any other brawling weapon in the game, so probably not the worst idea to do that. Cyclone Cataclysm, damage increased by 10%. That's good, because the weapon really didn't do too well. And I would still throw in, do we really need lock-on these old weapons? Because they just don't perform nearly as good as the newer ones. Still just food for thought. Striker damage increased by 5%. I don't know why they even mentioned 5% increase. It's something. Just think about what Fulgur and Tonans does to you on the battlefield, overperforming Striker by like 250% or so, and they're giving it a 5% buff. You know what, just don't bother. Unless this is 30 or 40%, don't waste my time with it, seriously. And now, drones. Kestrel, bonus to movement speed on kill. Speed reduced from 20 to 10 kilometers per hour, and the amount of gray damage restored on kill is, instead of 25%, only 17% now. And you can only apply 3 instead of 4 death mark stacks with 15% damage boost each instead of 25. Lots of damage difference here, lots of gray HP difference here, and lots of speed difference here. The overpowered Kestrel drone is no longer as overpowered, and to be fair, this should have happened on day 1, not now after people pay for it, after people invest and get themselves this drone and then do the Pixonic move later. Freaking not cool. Daltoki drone, built-in weapon damage increased by 10%. Sounds good, but I think it could even get more because these weapons don't really do much. Armadillo bonus to damage defense points, yeah, on kill. Instead of 15, now 10. Yesterday I showed you in this video with the Ravana how you can get basically invincible using the Armadillo drone when you get a lot of kills in caps. Caps are not being changed. You still get 12 defense points, but kill only 10. That makes a difference. It still works kind of, but it takes longer to get immune, basically. Reviver bonus to durability from on deployment. Durability increased from 7 to 10% more. General health. Beak drones, that's good. Stealth duration on first hit and on high damage reduced from 5 to 3 seconds. I hated these 5 seconds all the time. Stealth in between. It's shorter now. To me, that's a relief. Not sure about you guys. If you use the drone a lot, you'll probably hate it, but I didn't use it before and I hated the stealth everywhere. Paralysis drone, just my personal thing. Paralysis bonus to damage on from repair unit. Damage reduced from 10 to 5%. So you get less damage boost when you use a repair unit on the paralysis drone, and the same goes for defense points. You get only 16 instead of 28% defense while reusing the repair kit, and that equals 40 to 20 defense points. Persephone drone, repair from the repair gun increased by 30%. That thing has never done anything. You could buff it by 300%, I believe, and it would still suck. I think. It would need to be tested, but that's my theory. Barrel, damage from the barrel's explosion increased by 60%. Interesting. Maybe a Hellburner build or something else that goes short range could do a little more interesting with that thing now. Glider repair from the after phase shift fix from 20 to 30%. So a little bit better. Then several bug fixes, and like I said, let's jump into the gameplay with Nether and Lynx. So here's battle with a lot of nerfed things. The Nether with its weaker force field and longer duration on the ability recharge. The slower fire rate of the harpoon weapons, as you can see here, although they still deal damage. Overall, your damage output is tremendously nerfed, but you have a bit more shielding in return. I'm always, and this is something I noticed, next to getting damaged faster because your force field is 40% weaker, I never have dashes available to me, never. I use 1 or 2 dashes and I'm empty. I got no more dashes because it takes much longer to regenerate each dash now. And as a result, I'm constantly lacking the ability to move around the cover and attack someone. I'm always on the verge of having only 1 or 2 dashes, what previously would have been 4 or 5. So it makes a huge difference. Also, you see, I'm killing something and I get health back, but it didn't really help fill up a lot because the Kestrel drone that we're using has also been nerfed. We'll see this again in a second with the Lynx. I'm just going to use the Lynx here with the lasers now. We're going to get a kill and then pay attention to how much it fills up our health. It's still a good fill up after the kill. The gray HP also still improves, but it is less than before. And you no longer get as fast after making a kill and so on. So take a look. We're going to kill this Typhon robot in just a second. We got 87,000 HP, and pay attention to the gray HP. Okay, gray HP got maybe 10% filled up, and the rest was just green HP that was filled up to max. And now we're looking at the Wangji lasers. I probably still say that wrong. This is a Mars robot over there, and look how fast these weapons overheat. After 2 seconds of firing, you already lost most of your damage output because it's already like in orange overheating state. After 2 seconds, yeah, there is a pilot that makes it better, but the weapon should be able to perform without a pilot too. it shouldn't be a completely worthless weapon unless you have the right pilot for it. And I can barely break through the Mars shield over there. Remember, the Mars shield has been nerfed, and I can barely get through. Meanwhile, an Ochokochi is spawn raiding our entire team for the better part of 5 minutes, having the fun of his life with one robot that allows him to cheat and hack the game legally. Meanwhile, everything else we have in the game, all your hangar, all your items have been completely nerfed to make this, what you see right here, an unstoppable thing. Yeah, and this actually happened to me. Yeah. Because these wheels, you press back, but they drive a curve, and that curve just threw me off. Whoops. Anyway, so ladies and gents, thanks for watching. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet, and I'll catch you in the next video. And let me know what you think, of course, down in the comments, because I'll be reading those. So, Manni off. Bye-bye.